Okay, this is Socially Awkward with Evan Wecksell, and I interview a different Facebook friend every episode. And this episode is my first elected official. That's also my Facebook friend. He is busy. I will read what it says about him because he has a book coming out. He is just reelected to the state assembly with the highest vote ever for a Republican in California history. He's a graduate of Yale and Harvard Law School, former high school teacher in South Central LA, and the first 100% citizen-backed legislator. Kevin Kileys, how dare you not take special interest donations anymore? Welcome to Socially Awkward.
Thanks very much. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, were you shocked at all that Newsom did not pick you to be the new Secretary of State? Was this not
the new senator, not the new Secretary of State. I don't know. I was shocked. I thought I'd be first on his list.
I mean, it's been amazing just finding, you've kind of been almost like a folk hero. You've evolved to a lot of us here in California because of starting back to AB5, which was a bill that completely misclassified a lot of us in the state. I guess, I don't know, how could a law like that get passed in the first place, in your opinion?
AB5, well, yeah, I mean, as you know, AB5 is maybe the most corrupt law to ever pass in our state, one of the worst anywhere in the country ever to pass. Put countless people, tens of thousands of people out of work or diminish their work prospects. And it did so, for the worst possible reason, and that was to reward the most powerful, wealthiest, biggest spending political interest groups, special interests at the Capitol, which is these enormous union conglomerates that have become really the driving force behind everything that happens at the state capitol. They will control our legislature, they control our governor, to be sure, and they're responsible for the fact that AB5 passed and that it's largely remained in place, even though it's caused such devastation to so many people.
And I mean, it's woken up a lot of us, I think, that weren't as engaged, and we've been shaving it off. I mean, I know musicians now have their carve out, yet we have musicians carved out, comedians like myself, other like magicians, so many others not carved out. We did just say yes on Proposition 22 for rideshare companies. There was a thought from some leading up to Prop 22 that maybe we should vote no because maybe Uber and Lyft will continue the fight for the entire law. Did you ever see it that way, or do you think the right thing happened in November?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I see where that argument is coming from. And I was frankly frustrated that Uber and Lyft did not propose a more far-reaching initiative and that they were not more directly involved in the AB5 fight, and that at the end of the day, they simply put on the ballot something that would only affect their industries. So I certainly understood that argument. On the other hand, passing Prop 22 did a number of things. First of all, it's kept Uber and Lyft in California and given their literally hundreds of thousands of drivers the ability to keep working. That's very important in its own right. It certainly has weakened the foundation of the law because Uber and Lyft and their drivers were sort of the juiciest target among the special interests who proposed it. So it's provided a lot less reason for the folks in the legislature who are entirely controlled by special interests, but who also are hearing complaints from thousands of their constituents to, continue to stand by the law. And then third, it's shown where the people of California stand. It's shown that they have rejected the premise of AB5 emphatically. They rejected the idea that, you should have to be forced into a W-2 employee-employer relationship against your will. And so I think that as I fight to get the full law repealed this year, I've already proposed a bill, AB25, to do just that.
Right.
I'm going to make those who are the apologists for the law say, why is it that you think you can continue to defy the will of California voters?
Very true. And you kind of even took that a step further. I think you and Assemblyman Gallagher have actually taken our governor to court. You won. You had a permanent injunction. You're a kingslayer to many of us. But where can you give the impetus of like what you were arguing in that case and where it stands now? Because I know there's like an appeal process going on as such.
Yeah, absolutely. So the case was really just about ending this idea of a one-man rule or an autocracy in the state of California, because that's what Gavin Newsom has done, is he's taken over the legislative branch and its powers and taken on these extraordinary powers, which he thinks he can do just because we have a state of emergency, which is, by the way, one that seems to be an endless state of emergency. So we took him to court to challenge that premise. And specifically, we said that he needs to stop violating the powers of the legislature and creating new laws on his own. That's what he's doing when he's ruling the state by fiat. And so we got a favorable ruling. We won a trial against him back in October. And the first thing he did after he lost was rush to the Court of Appeals, and he wanted them to throw out our victory right away. The Court of Appeals said no to that, but they've now set up sort of a full-fledged, we've written our briefs, and so now it's all in the court's hands, and we're hoping we'll get a decision, in a matter of weeks, but it's really up to the court.
Right, because you had your brief written, and then I guess his side had their brief written, and then I guess just another court just decides this. Is it like in a new circuit in a new level of court? Do you?
Yeah, exactly. So every county has its own superior court. So we won in the Sutter County Superior Court, and then there's an appeals court, and there's 7 what are called appeals districts. And so, each district oversees a certain number of the county superior courts. So there's only 7 of those districts. And then, the final level of appeal in the state court system would be the California Supreme Court. And of course, there's only one of those.
Right. True. And now at the same time, as now more and more people are aware, we have what's called a recall campaign going on for our governor. Now it's been interesting because I've been following it, and I've been very active, and I go around, I do my drop offs. I have my little recall thing over here. And I see like California, like the GOP or other opinion leaders have kind of stayed away from it as of like maybe more like a few weeks ago, things started changing, and it seemed to be getting the headlines, and you had like celebrities speaking out about it. What have you taken from it? I mean, obviously you are now writing a book called Recall Newsom, which is not recalling the fine memories you guys have had together, but it's what is the format, I guess, of this book? I mean, is it like the road to where we got to right now? Is it more of a persuasive piece? Like how did you when did you find that? I'm assuming this was written while the legislature was closed down for so many months, but how did that come together? Sure.
Well, it's laying out, the case for the recall, and I view the recall as a citizens movement, and it's not really politicians who should be at the forefront of it, which is why I haven't been really directly involved, at least up until now, because I think that the point of a recall is for citizens to remove power from politicians, not for one set of politicians to try to, reallocate power from another. So that's why I've had, that sort of posture towards the movement. But I've been unbelievably impressed with the way that it's congealed and the way that it's, gotten to this point where now it's a viable movement to actually qualify for the ballot, even though you need 1.5 million signatures, which is more than you've ever needed for a recall. And so I decided that at this point, my contribution to the effort could be to try to, make the case to the broader public as to why what's happened with Gavin Newsom this year merits the exceptional remedy, the exceptional intervention of a recall, and how, in fact, the ways that he's abused his power this year reflect the broader corruption that has beleaguered our state capitol and has caused our state to be on this downward spiral for many, many years, to the point at which over half of the people in the state say they're thinking of leaving in public opinion.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm one of them. I mean, I ran for state Senate. Ideally, I was hoping to run against Portantino as a write-in. I was hoping to advance, but one of the reasons I was running is so that I could get less government. Like, I'm running to be in the government to get less government. It's almost like an oxymoron, the way you want politics to kind of work. And is it a little like, how do you, I guess an overall question is, how do you persevere when not even like the Republican Democrats split in the legislature, but even like more of like, the common sense and the decency that people like you put forward versus just like the selective hearing of so many? How have you been able to like endure all of this and continue to do some positive things?
Yeah,
threat?
that's a really good question. And frankly, I knew what I was getting into when I ran for the legislature,
Yeah.
albeit I could not have imagined that, things would get as bad as they have in 2020.
Right.
But, my whole purpose was to be disruptive, and not for the sake simply of creating conflict, but for the sake of creating, the sort of positive conflict that leads to change. And
Yeah.
so, when I have to keep fighting and, we keep getting knocked down and we keep having to, deal with the corrupt practices and the abusive practices of our legislature and our governor, it just makes me all the more motivated to
Yeah.
keep fighting, because I see directly what the consequences of that are. It's led, our state to deteriorate in a way that is devastating for millions of people. So, whenever I hit a brick wall in this capital, I have no problem getting back up and keep fighting, because that's what I signed up for, and because I know there are so many people that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I've noticed you've started approaching things from a local perspective. Can you tell me more like about what the Healthy Communities Resolution does and what the hope is? How does that counteract maybe what the Department of Public Health says in each county? What that
Right. So the
purpose is?
the
Yeah.
uh, the Healthy Communities Resolution is something that I wrote with some other legislators after this conference we organized in our region in Northern California of 15 different counties, and we had a conference of representatives from those counties discussing our shared frustrations with everything that's gone so haywire with the state's COVID response. And so we distilled our areas of agreement into a few principles, like we need to get our business open, we need to get our schools open, we need to stop having this centralized control, these command and control lockdowns.
Yep.
And so now different counties have been passing that resolution. And the idea is to form this real collective counterweight to the approach that the state has taken, and to make this call for change at the local level become so strong, that the governor's hand is effectively forced. And I think that, this approach grew out of the sense that the governor has tried to just, vanquish all other outlets for political authority, or all other sources of power within our government. So we've really looked around and found counties as perhaps the best way to really, provide some pushback and a counterweight that is more accessible to people at the local level. Because, when Gavin Newsom is ruling the state with a stroke of his pen, there's no public access to that. You can't, as a citizen, go and say, well, I want you to do this. He just does it. Whereas at least at the Board of Supervisors at the county level, there's public access, there's public meetings, citizens can participate, you can contact your supervisor. And that's what we're seeing happening, as citizens go and ask their supervisors to put the Healthy Communities Resolution forward.
So say say go to Kern County or Alameda County, they say, Newsom bans in outdoor dining also. That county can go ahead and pass the resolution saying, we have the science to say it doesn't spread, we can open up those businesses. Is that their pushback?
Yeah, so that's what the counties are saying, is that we
Okay.
think we have the data at the local level that shows this is not a source of transmission, and
Okay.
we should be allowed to handle the situation in a way that reflects what's happening on the ground to real people and real businesses in our actual community.
Okay. What got you into wanting to run for office in the first place? I know you went to Harvard, Yale Law School. Like, was that the intention? Was it to work at a firm, or what kind of was your origin story for this?
Yeah, well, I'd had a few different experiences. I actually taught high school in inner city LA after college, and then I did go to law school. I was at a firm for a little while. I was a prosecutor, but in every facet of my professional experience, I kind of hit the failures of our state government head on. I saw the kids that I was teaching struggling with our failed education system. I saw our criminal justice system going haywire when I was a prosecutor with the state attorney general's office, and I saw the way that our state's regulations and approach to business absolutely cripples small businesses and economic opportunity when I was working in private practice. And so I had dabbled in politics when I was younger, but had never been directly involved sort of in my professional life. But having seen all of these issues firsthand, and seeing that, being so troubled by the overall decline of our state, I figured that, I might be able to be a force for change. And so that's what I've tried to do since I was elected. And it's been 4 years now, actually.
Awesome. Have you seen like George Gascon? Do you have like a viewpoint on like his new policies in LA, down here in LA, or not?
Yeah, I
Really?
mean, Gascon is a disaster in
Okay.
San Francisco. I mean, it's really almost farcical that this guy would then be imported to an even larger county.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I am very wary of the citizens of LA County and for what they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, we're dealing with a lot. I'll ask you some adjacent questions. Like, obviously you're used to things on the state level. I believe with state bills, you have to like read through the bills, I believe, in session. Is that just, I guess, doesn't happen on a federal level? Because right now we have like the stimulus bills being spoken of on how 5,500 pages were supposed to be consumed in 3 hours and then voted on. Does that happen at the state level at all, with like piles of provisions sneaking in, or is it more thorough?
It does happen. There's all kinds of shenanigans that happens, particularly towards the end of the year, when stuff just kind of suddenly pops up without having gone through the
Right.
gauntlet of the legislative process and been subject to the transparency and the give and take and the public access that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
There is one thing that kind of stops the worst abuses. In 2016, voters passed what's known as Proposition 54, which
Okay.
created a 3-day public notice requirement. So under Prop 54, you can't pass a bill unless the final language of that bill has been in print and available for the public to see for at least 72 hours. Now, the legislature has tried to find all kinds of ways around that, as you might expect, but that is a provision in our state constitution that's supposed to, at least in theory, prevent items from getting rammed through without at least a modicum of advance notice.
Right. I know we can go like online and we can read the bills in this state. Okay, I guess let me get you out of here on a few things, because I know you're extremely busy. And is the book right now is only available right now through your website, where it'll be something you send out to people?
Yeah, so if you go to my website, electkevinkiley.com, it's there. Or if you just Google my name, Kevin Kileys, and go to the website that comes up, you can order it. And we have a paperback version and an ebook as well that you can order directly from the website. And it'll be available January 10th.
Oh, awesome. So I kind of, as someone that ran for office, I've been living vicariously through you, just in terms of like, I want to be like that guy. And I was looking you up a little, and it's like, okay, so my dad was also a doctor, or my mom was also a teacher. I'm like, this is meant to be.
Wow.
So I mean, I'm sending the book to my dad because it's gonna have my name on it, so that he calls me and he's like, I got this thing in the mail for you. What is it? And it's like back in Long Island. I'm like, just open it. It's for you. It's the Recall Newsom book.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
He'll read anything. I don't think he would have voted for me if he lived in California, but that's beside the point. So some fun things. I know you're from did you grow up in the district that you represent? Did you grow up up north?
I did, yep.
Have you ever been to Sunsplash?
I have, yeah, many times. Have you been?
I once did a gig there at 3 a.m. It didn't go for Granite Bay High School.
Oh, I went to Granite Bay. Was it a grad night?
Yeah, I did grad night one day.
Oh, yeah. I might have been there. We had our sober grad night there when I graduated.
No, they yanked me early. It just wasn't meant to be that.
Oh, they did. Okay.
But they were a good group.
They still do it there at Sunsplash.
I hope so. It's tricky because I do a lot in California, and now last year my gig, was postponed to this year, and who knows when they'll allow it. Good. Do you have a favorite movie lawyer that you've seen based on your experience?
Favorite movie lawyer?
Yeah, or like favorite movie, like does A Few Good Men stand out to you, or is it something else from experience?
Gosh, the classic one. My cousin Vinny is always right up there. I think when it comes to lawyer movies, I always read John Grissom's books too when I was a kid.
I did. I read over the summer.
What's that?
I read The Firm like before 9th grade.
Yeah. I always enjoyed those, and a number have been adapted into movies. That's probably about as good as I can do for an answer on that one.
Okay. Is there a next movie you're excited to see?
Oh gosh, I can't tell you the last time. I mean, theaters have been closed for one thing, but I don't know. Are there any lawyer movies coming out?
Or just saying in general, if there's anything, like I know like Wonder Woman 84 is like going to come out in the coming weeks, or I have no idea. I'm just trying to throw you some non-political questions.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look at what's coming out.
Oh yeah. And Kings fan, I take it.
Yeah.
You have? The refs messed with you way back when.
Thank you. I'm glad you could admit that.
Yeah, they did. No, they did. I'm a Knicks fan, so I have it worse. So it's
Knicks. Okay. Yeah.
We're way off. Okay, one other thing. Do you know of other people named Kevin Kiley?
I do actually. There's a few rather infamous
Yeah.
people with my name out there.
I was
Do you have
trying to get
someone?
another one to show up, but he didn't.
Ah,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
He was a wrestler. This wrestler, Kevin
Yes,
Kiley.
there's the wrestler. He didn't want to show up, huh?
Well, he's my Facebook friend also, so I thought it would have been fun for a Kevin
really?
Kiley to meet a Kevin Kiley, and then it'd last 30 seconds, and then you'd both leave. But yeah.
Wow, that's funny. Okay, yeah, I've heard of him. There's actually another politician like in Connecticut who actually switched parties. He was a Republican and became a
okay.
Democrat. So
Okay.
sometimes it's bad if people Google me and that comes up.
Right.
And there's a few others. So yeah, I'm aware that unfortunately I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Couple other things. If you were having when things open up again, when you have people over at your house, what music would you be playing? What music would you put on for your guests?
You know, I try to be fairly generic when I do music, and so you know, I'll probably just put on something on Pandora with like Coldplay or you know, John Mayer or something like that.
Okay. I still listen to John Mayer's first album, so that's good. And then the last thing, do you have a favorite comedian? Do you have like favorite funny people growing up?
I think you're my favorite comedian now.
Oh, it's funny. The last political guy before you, I interviewed the VP nominee for the Libertarian Party, and he said I was also his favorite after George Carlin. But
after George Carlin, okay. Our family always has liked Brian Regan.
He's great. Yeah, I teach comedy to kids, and I always play Regan clips for the kids so they see how the types of comedy work.
Yeah, so he's pretty clean, I guess.
Very clean, very fair. Cool. Well, I guess what's the website people can go to for your book to go to Recall Newsom?
Yeah, so the easiest way to get there would just be to go to my my homepage, electkevinkiley.com, or just Google my name, Kevin Kileys, and it'll come up as the first or second result, and then you can get to the book from there. You know, and it's also on my Facebook and Twitter and all that.
Okay. Well, I do have to say that you have definitely met the moment. And and we will
I hear that phrase one more time.
And yeah, that's pretty much, we were rapid fire. We were very efficient. So I wish the best to you and fighting for all of us. Again, you're like this folk hero whose legend continues to grow by the day to many of us. And I will let all the recall groups know of this conversation. So definitely get back to more important things than talking to some guy in his home office / abandoned Airbnb or whatever you call this place. But yeah, but thanks for taking the time. Thanks for accepting my friend request at a random day months ago. And maybe we'll round up the other Kevin Kileys one time and you'll arm wrestle or something. I don't know.
Well, he's a pro wrestler. Very good chance.
All right. Well, you guys have an extra week off now to go back to work. So I guess hit Newsom up for the forward. Maybe he'll write the forward to the book for you.
Yeah, maybe.
At least you know. How have the interactions been? Because I know you mentioned that like he once asked your opinion on like should we open up schools for in-person education, and you know, does he communicate with you kind of straight? Can you tell there's like subtext to when he's asking you things, or do you want to kind of leave that to the side?
Yeah, no, I mean he communicates with neither me nor any of the legislature hardly at all.
Okay.
And it's been true ever since he's been in office. And you know, they'll give us a notice that you can call into the some call with public health officials, you know, 30 minutes in advance, and tell us that after he's already made a decision and made an announcement.
Oh, okay.
Even before this whole COVID-19, he made very little effort to have any dialogue with the legislature, which is in contrast to Jerry Brown, by the way, who actually went out of his way, or at least, you know, went through the motions, I guess, of you know, getting to know legislators and trying to work with us. So it's kind of been, I don't know, I think Newsom has viewed it as beneath him since he's been in office. He's been focused on, you know, trying to get national headlines and working with the legislature to actually govern our state and make life here better has not been high on his priority list.
Got you. And then I guess the postscript to a successful recall, a few people have asked me to ask you, would you throw your hat into being a gubernatorial candidate for that?
That's not something I'm considering.
Okay.
No.
Do you have your eyes on people that are already declared or not really?
No, I mean, I think it's just right now the focus needs to be on qualifying the recall. So I'm not thinking about right now, you know, who might run in the election that would follow. If we don't get the signatures by March 17th, then it's you know, it's a moot point. So I think that right now, trying to focus too much on who the replacement candidate would be, would be a distraction from what we really need to be focused on, which is making the case against Newsom and convincing folks that we need to have this referendum next year.
Okay, sounds great. I will be spending my Christmas day going around the neighborhood with this, and
Awesome.
and you, I'm sure, will be definitely a good follow on Twitter. So if anyone likes a normal, common, decent politician, I actually found one, and his name is Kevin Kileys. Thank you for coming on Social Awkward. I'll let you get back to your busier schedule.
All right. Thanks, Evan. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Have a good one.